Good morning, Southeastern Conference. Good morning, Southeastern Conference. Welcome to our health and wellness meeting this morning. I want to welcome you. There's three things that people want in life: health, happiness, and Christians want holiness. So this morning, when we talk about health, you're going to hear about health, happiness, and holiness. We have two dynamic presenters, but before I introduce them, I want to open up with prayer. Will you bow your heads with me, please? Good morning, Heavenly Father. We're so grateful and thankful that you have brought us here to learn more how we can live happy, healthy, and holy, that more abundant life that you promised in John 10:10. So I pray, dear Lord, that as we listen, as we learn, that we will apply these things to our lives. We know you're coming soon, so we want to be the healthiest and holiest that we can be. So we pray that you will help us to accomplish that. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. So good morning. If you have not met me, my name is Dr. Jennifer Sankey, and I'm actually the Health Ministries Director at the Southeastern Conference, and I'm also over disabilities. So I wanted to say thank you for taking time out to find out how important this is to your health and wellness. So we have two presenters today. We have Dr. Erica Francois, and if her name sounds familiar, it's because she is the wife of our Secretariat. And we're going to talk about weight management. There's a lot of truths and there are a lot of myths about weight management. And then our second speaker this morning will be Dr. Brenda Owusu. Some of you may have heard her yesterday, but she's going to talk about how to be empowered as we age. What decisions do we need to make and be considerate of? And if you are a caregiver, how you can actually provide the best care for your loved one. So I'm very excited that you're here. I'm going to actually join Dr. Francois over there. We're going to have a conversation about weight management. I do ask that you hold your questions to the end. We're going to work really hard to give you that opportunity to ask any questions of us. So excuse me while I join Dr. Francois. Good morning, Dr. Francois.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Oh, wow. So we have an audience here. We have an audience here that is interested in weight management. And so we want to share with them. Can you just tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yes, so I am Erica Francois. She mentioned I am a nurse practitioner. I have been a nurse practitioner for over 11 years. I started my focus in bariatric surgery, which is weight loss surgery. You all may have heard of the gastric bypass, the sleeve gastrectomy, and I also do weight management. I started that 7 years ago, and I've been on this journey in helping others with weight management at Tampa General Hospital in Tampa, Florida. And I just recently opened my own practice as of June 2nd, New Vitality Health and Wellness, where I also help others with weight management.
Well, congratulations on opening your own business.
Thank you.
That's exciting.
Thank you.
So it sounds like let's give her a hand.
Thank you.
Let's give her a hand. So it sounds like you have a passion for weight management.
Indeed, yes, I do. I consider myself a patient as well. I have had the struggle with obesity as well, and not just, sometimes we look at it just for looks, but it affects our health. I was not able to start working at Tampa General Hospital. You know how we go through like pre-employment screening, and my cholesterol was too high. I did not know that, and I had to be under a doctor's care first. There may be some pictures pulled up pretty soon too that you can that I will share with you all. But I decided to change my lifestyle, of course with Christ first, and then utilizing a dietitian and a doctor, and I was able to lose close to 70 pounds. Wow. And my cholesterol, I did not require going on medication. It was through lifestyle changes and making changes in my life with food and, with activity.
So, our program today is called Living Your Best Lifestyle.
Yes, ma'am.
I love that. I think that's a great topic. And sometimes we say living your best life, but it's really about the lifestyle that we live that determines how well we live.
Yes.
So tell me about obesity. I heard you refer to the word obesity, and sometimes people have a misunderstanding what that is. So can you tell me a little bit more about what is obesity?
So obesity, we just, I believe in 2013, it was named as an actual diagnosis, an actual disease. Sometimes it's looked upon as we just eat too much, but that's not always the case with obesity. Obesity is an excess of fat tissue in the body, and you all probably have heard of your body mass index or BMI, and this is just a tool that is utilized to determine, what classification of obesity or overweight or normal body range that we should be in. But it's utilized just as a tool that we use to help us determine if you are obese. And we are now trying to really focus on treating obesity as we treat any other disease, as we treat hypertension, high blood pressure, as we treat high cholesterol, changing up your diet and your lifestyle first. And if that does not work, then we move on to medications. And sometimes surgery is necessary as well. So that's obesity. And
so can obesity be, can it be in your genes, or can it be hormonal?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It is genetics that can play a factor in obesity. Hormones, different. Our thyroid, you've probably heard of Cushing's disease, hypothyroidism. All of this plays a factor in obesity.
Wow. So how do you know, whether it's hormonal or hereditary? So how would someone know that?
Sometimes, you can't tell if it's hereditary, right? I mean, just, you could look at, your family history and our makeup, right? We can tell, grandma, grandpa, great grandma going back, and you can tell that there is a genetic factor that plays a role in obesity. And then as far as hormones, there are different tests that have to be done to determine if it's your thyroid or some adrenal gland problem that may be going on.
So do you find that there's more obesity in males or females, or about the same?
Of course, poor us, right? Poor females. The obesity rate, and this was alarming to me, African American women, we have the highest obesity rate. 4 out of 5 African American women are considered either overweight or obese. And this is very, very concerning to me, and I hold this precious to my heart, that I want to be able to be a change factor in this, in changing this. I know the world is big, but it just takes one, right? And we can change this. I want to be one of those people to help change the numbers, change this up, change that our obesity rate is so high. But I know a lot of things play into this. Our culture, sometimes we see this as, being quote unquote thick, or, you've probably heard the term that's, what that's appealing, and that's what they want to see. But we need to be very careful about our health, making our health primary and first. Obesity it plays a role in over 66 diseases that occur in our body. Obesity is linked to cancer. Obesity is linked to heart disease. Obesity is linked to sleep apnea. Obesity is linked to hypertension, high cholesterol. You name it, obesity is linked to it. So a lot of times, if we treat the underlying factor, we treat obesity. I oftentimes see this for myself firsthand with my patients. We treat obesity, then we're also treating diabetes. We're also treating hypertension. I have some patients that are no longer taking, their blood pressure medications anymore because they have lost, 10% of their excess body weight. And that is evidence-based, that if you can lose up to 5% of your excess body weight, you gain some years onto your life, and also you also decrease your cancer risk as well.
Wow. So living your best lifestyle
Yes.
is about knowing your BMI,
Yes.
knowing whether or not you're in range or not, and then also making adjustments if you're not in range.
Right, and I always say seek out to your primary care provider. We, like I mentioned, as far as BMI, we don't rely on it too heavily. There are other methods that we do utilize, as such as like your waist circumference, to determine if you are obese or overweight as well.
Wow. So what about, we talked about family a little bit. So a lot of times, is it diet related sometimes?
Environmental, yes. Sometimes our socioeconomic status can play a role, in obesity. There we don't have access to some of the, healthier foods, or just the actual knowledge. Sometimes there's a lack of knowledge of knowing what's healthy for us, or what's the better choice for us. Sometimes I have patients that come in and they'll, tell the dietitian, oh yes, I'm eating vegetables, I'm eating, collard greens and cabbage, but sometimes the question is not asked to the patient, and I get them, I'm like, okay, what's in your collard greens, ma'am? And what's in your cabbage? And so when we start adding on the meats and the oil and on the salt in these vegetables, it's not really, that nutritious anymore for us. So.
So let's talk about child obesity. Do you see much of that?
Yes, that is on the rise. 1 out of 5 children are considered either overweight or obese. And again, we talk about genetics. Also, we all now see too, children don't go outside that much anymore. And that plays a huge role. Their lack of activity, they're into, video games and, social media. And we just need to get them outside just a little bit more, as we used to be growing up. Also, they're, sometimes we have this push to tell our kids that they have to eat all of their food on their plate. And that's not necessary. Of course, eat all your vegetables, right? But forcing them to eat all of the food on their plate, it plays a role for the long term in increasing their risk of becoming obese. So it starts from that age. Yes, we want them to eat all of their vegetables, but everything else, they can leave the hot dog. If they don't finish it, don't worry about it, throw it away. I had a doctor tell me sometimes it's better in the garbage than in our bodies. We are temples of God. So don't put the excess in our body. Put it in the garbage. It's okay. Or save it for later for us to put it in the garbage later.
I love that answer. So, in the Bible it says, whatever you eat, drink, or do all to the glory of God. So what you're explaining is how we care for our bodies as God's temple.
Yes.
Plays a very important role whether or not we live our best lifestyle. So we've talked a lot about how obesity comes about, but what I love for us to talk about more is where's the first step when we decide I'm obese, or the doctor says you're obese? What is our first step of actually trying to take corrective action?
The first step, I always recommend my patients to take a log of what you're eating every day, like track it. So there are many apps out there that you can use, like MyFitnessPal, Lose It. I forgot the name of your Fitbit. That you can track your food, and it's gotten so advanced now. Like you can even use your phone and just hit the QR code on maybe something that you have, and it'll track it for you. I always tell patients, start tracking what you're eating. You'll be surprised, because the first thing I always hear is someone comes to my office, oh, I really don't eat that much. And I'm like, okay, so let's go through your day. And I don't want you to try to recall it from your head. No, I want every time you put something in your mouth, I need for you to write it down or put it in your food tracker. And we will be pretty surprised, how much we have consumed in one day. but just by doing that. Also, like we mentioned, go to your primary care provider. They may refer you to a dietitian to help you manage your plate as well. I always recommend to get rid of all the sugar-sweetened beverages. It's very easy, right, to do. No sugar-sweetened beverages. Don't drink your calories. So choose water. Of course, we know that's the purest form. That's our filtration system, ultimate filtration for our kidneys, all of our major organs. Choose water. Get rid of all of the sodas, the juice, and sometimes we get a little. We'll say, oh, it's all natural or all, but sugar is sugar. Whether it's all natural and that grape juice is still sugar. So get rid of all sugar sweetened beverages. I would say eliminate from your diet. And also at your exercise, where are you with that? How often are you moving and become mobile? And every little bit helps. Park a little bit further from the grocery store. If you're going into a department store, park a little bit. Don't always try to look for the first, parking space if you're able to. Even at home, you can do exercises. I always recommend that if you're washing dishes, do some calf raises while you're standing up washing dishes. We all like to wait till the water gets hot before getting in the shower. Do push-ups against the wall, something. Just stay active as much as possible too.
Wow, what great advice. So I know while we've been here at camp, we've had a gardening class to help people do their own, grow their own food, to kind of get them out and about, and that's exercise.
Yes.
In the garden.
Yes.
We've been doing the morning exercises at 5:30 in the morning, and then the senior exercises at 4:30. So we're concerned about the health and well-being of our constituents. So we're offering those things here to kind of jumpstart them.
Yes.
So when they get home, they'll have at least a start. So let's talk a little bit about, now I agree with you about the foods we eat, our exercising, but sometimes people want to lose weight quickly because they want to get into that wedding gown, or they want to, they have that family reunion, or maybe they have a class reunion coming up. So they may go and want to do these like quick diets, pills, or tell me more about what your thoughts are regarding that.
And I'm an advocate for that. I look at it holistically, a holistic approach. A lot of medications they are. Remember, as I mentioned, we want to treat obesity as if we treat high blood pressure. So we might be on high blood pressure medication to help with that, along with changing our diet and lifestyle. Same with obesity. We change our diet and lifestyle, but there are medications out there that can help us with weight loss. Now, the new up-and-coming medications that are, a lot safer than what we probably had in the past. You probably heard of, it's big in the news right now. It's actually a diabetic medication, Ozempic, Wegovy. That's the weight loss form of Ozempic. There's Mounjaro. They're classified as GLP-1 medications. And so what it does, what these particular medications do, and it's an injection once a week, very small needle. What it does, it helps to slow down our digestion to make us feel full for a longer period of time. So you no longer have that desire to eat, because you have this feeling of fullness all of the time. And if you try to eat over the medication, you will have some consequences. There's likelihood that you can experience severe heartburn, nausea, vomiting as well. So you don't want to do that. I have utilized these medications in my practice and have seen excellent results with the medication, with minimal to no side effects with the medication. Now, you have to, again, be careful with it. You probably see a lot of med spas, but you want to go to your healthcare provider or someone that is certified in utilizing these medications, because there are with any medication, right, there are risks, and you want someone to really go over your current medications that you're on to make sure there are no contraindications. Also, if you have a history of medullary thyroid cancer, we do not recommend these medications for you. And then at the same time, as I mentioned, it was actually first used for diabetes, so it's treating your diabetes and also, treating for helping you with weight management as well. So and now we're even seeing with Ozempic and Wegovy, we're seeing that it's also helping with addictions. I've had several patients that I wouldn't classify them as alcoholics or anything, but they always have to have a glass of wine before they go to sleep at night, or they do consume alcohol. They no longer have a desire for alcohol anymore. It's just been amazing, alarming. My mom, she watches the news every day, so every time she sees the word Ozempic or Wegovy comes up, she presses record so I can watch it and make sure that I'm on the up and up with the information that I'm giving out. And she mentioned this to me as well, but I've also seen it in my patients. They know that their alcohol consumption has been reduced, and those that are smoking as well, tobacco use, that has also gone down with utilizing Ozempic, Wegovy, these medications. So they work. It will help. It'll keep us from being hangry, hungry and angry. As we're trying to make these lifestyle changes, we can utilize the medications to help us as we're making it makes it a little bit easier, to go through the lifestyle changes.
Great. So it sounds like one of the first steps is go to your doctor.
Go to your doctor.
Develop a plan. Follow the plan.
And then get the food, track your food. You'll be surprised in some of the things we eat.
I think we should pause for a moment and ask people if they remember what they ate in the last 24 hours. See if they can remember what they ate.
I don't even remember what I had at the cafeteria an hour ago. So
now the reason I say that is that's the importance of writing it down.
Writing it down.
Because we don't remember everything that we've eaten in the last hour, 24 hours. And when you go to your doctor, that information is critical as they develop a plan for you.
Exactly. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So I think, Erica, people may have questions.
Sure.
So I would love to give them an opportunity, but if not, we'll continue to talk. So let's give them an opportunity to. Any questions? Okay.
There's one.
So I may have to share my mic. If you can stand up.
Well, let's speak for those online too. So they want to hear you as well.
My question is related to the medication you just talked about, Ozempic. Let's say if someone start taking that medication, for how long must they remain on it?
That's a good question. Yes. Oh, so what she asked, if you didn't hear her, how long can you stay on Ozempic or Wegovy? It's approved for long-term use because, as I mentioned, it's a diabetic medication. You can stay on it for long-term, and I'm glad you asked that. I get a lot of questions. Well, what happens when I come off of the medication? Will I regain the weight? So this is why we really focus on making those lifestyle changes while you're on the medication so they become habits. And when we start weaning you off of the medications, those habits are still there. They're instilled into your brain that okay, no sugar sweetened beverages. I know that. I can't have that. I need, a high protein diet, let me stay away from, the sweets. As you are, when you're on the medication. So when you come off of it, you still have those habits that you developed while on the medication. Will you be hungry after you come off of it? Absolutely. Yes. However, now you know what to grab, right? We're not grabbing the potato chips. We grab the apple, We're not, grabbing at the soda. We grabbing that, the water that we can infuse with fruit to, bring about a little bit more flavor when we do get a little bit bored with, water.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Thank you. What do you think about the raw diet? I've heard a lot about that as far as nutrients are concerned. What do you think about the raw diet?
Raw diets are great. They're excellent. However, so our plate must be include. We want to have our protein. When we look at our plate, guess I should have had a picture. I'm sorry. We want half of our plate to be vegetables, the other half to be protein and a starch. So sometimes that's the only concern when we do all completely raw, like, we might miss out a little bit on the protein factor when we do, just the raw vegetables. Also, you want to, and that's fine to do that too, but I always like to, teach my patient, educate my patients on implementing diets, and I don't even like to call it a diet, but implementing lifestyle changes that we can do for a lifetime that's sustainable. In our culture, it's kind of hard, to be on a raw diet for a lifetime. Some can do it. I can't. So, I always put that into the range. Like, there are a lot of different diets that are short term, that we can do, but I want you to be able to do something that you can do for a lifetime as well. I think we had some more questions in the back, too.
I have a question over here to your left.
Oh, where is he?
That other left. I'd like to hear your comments on the injection as opposed to gastric bypass and complications that might be occurred.
So, the injection as
opposed to the
gastric bypass. So, and I don't think I went in that order. So, yes, we would try to make the lifestyle changes first, medications, and surgery. Sometimes we do require surgery, gastric bypass, the sleeve gastrectomy. When we need just a little bit more extra help. Actually, now the gastric bypass sleeve, they're considered one of the safest surgeries. It's safer than getting your gallbladder removed. They have advanced the technology so much. We do it at Tampa General Hospital. We do it robotically. And it's pretty neat to watch, that the surgeon looks like they're playing a video game and there's the robot doing the surgery. But it decreases with robotic surgery. It decreases, surgeon fatigue when they're operating, because, they're just operating a little, looks like a handheld controller as well. So it's very, very safe surgery. Our patients, they go home the next day. Wow. And we follow up with them very, very closely. And so sometimes, yes, we do need to get the weight off. We do this for our transplant patients. That there are some patients that need to have maybe a heart transplant, a kidney transplant, and they need to lose the weight pretty quickly. So, they are our priority patients. So we do, maybe the sleeve gastrectomy so they can go on and have their transplant. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. I got in here a little late, so you may have answered it already, but you were talking about the medications that we can take, right, for our diabetic medications. So if you're not a diabetic, you still can take those? And if so, are there any side effects that we would need to be concerned about?
A very, very good question. Yes, you can take the medications if you are not a diabetic. They are, so basically, when you are not a diabetic, your pancreas works, so it knows how much insulin to release and to hold back. So the medications will not affect. We always recommend when you're on these type of medications that you eat small meals, small frequent meals throughout the day. If you are able to, just to make sure, and you should not have any issues with, there's always concern, will my blood sugar drop or something? In most cases, no, because your body, when you're not a diabetic, it knows how to release the appropriate amount of insulin throughout the day with each meal.
I saw another hand.
My question is, how can I get rid of my big stomach? that, you know, so many of us have because we do our sit-ups, we do our push-ups, we do all the ups, but still there.
So there is like no such thing as like spot training, like, oh, I'm just gonna lose weight in my hips, so I'm gonna just lose weight in my arms. That's not, that has to be surgically done. So we just have to focus on losing, you know, everywhere. So as you're losing weight, your stomach should go down. There are some foods that, and if you feel like your stomach, if there's a lot of bloating or something, you do want to see, like maybe you should see your doctor so you can see a GI specialist. There may be something else going on that we're not aware of, and you're just thinking, oh, I just have, a big gut, and I'm doing all this exercise. Go and have it checked out. Don't be afraid to go. I'll tell you, everyone, don't be afraid to go to the doctor for anything. And I think sometimes I know it's like that's like a whole nother presentation. But if there's some concern that you have, go and get it checked out. If you don't think that they are treating you as you should, and we know our bodies, right? You know your body. You know when it's not, right. Go somewhere else to get it checked out. So it might be something else going on, but to answer like the generalized question, we can't like really spot train ourselves to lose. I'm only gonna lose weight in my my butt or something. We can't do that.
Yes, as far as the big stomach is concerned, I found out that my high carb diet contributed to the large stomach. And what helped me was, lowering that in my diet. But that's an awful thing to suffer with the stomach like that, because you don't know what to do about the gas and bloating. But that was the big thing that worked for me. And as far as getting my protein is concerned, I had to gravitate toward eating lots of seeds and nuts and what have you for my protein. But yeah, that's what helped me. I just wanted to interject that.
Dr. Francois, I like that you don't use the word diet. You talk about lifestyle.
Right.
So I really like that, and I think our audience, we want that to be the message, that the lifestyle that we live can help us live our best life.
Right. Your diet, sometimes we think, when we say the word diet, we think of something short term. I'm going on this diet for 10 days or 30 days or 40-day diet plan. But I want to promote, lifestyle changes, that it's not something that we do just for 30 days or 40 days. We're going to do this for 30 years, 40 years, that we're going to make these lifestyle changes. Also, I guess he can show, if we show the pictures as well, there was that's me. You see me holding Morgan. That's when I found out that my cholesterol was through the roof, and I had no idea. I thought I was living my best life, yeah, but not so much. And then the other picture, and there's Pastor Francois. So when mommy change or the wife change, everybody in the household changes, right? So he had to start eating the way we couldn't go out to eat every night anymore, and we had to cut back on the sweets. And as a result, I got jealous, because men, y'all had stopped eating, for 2 days, and you lost 20 pounds or something. So I'm like, how you beat me at my own game? But that is Pastor Francois. That is Tamar. You probably all have seen her around. She's in our conference too. She was the nurse on duty last week. Had you asked Tamar maybe 3 or 4 years ago to be the nurse, she would be quick to tell you no, because she wasn't able to mobilize and move about as she's able to now. She's lost over 100 pounds, and she's doing an excellent job. She's now a registered nurse, and she has done marvelous with changing her lifestyle and has changed her life.
Wow.
And that's one of my patients as well. You see, she's holding the baby, and she came to me with postpartum blues sometimes, concerned about your weight and everything. And she's done, except she's one of my first, I call her my graduates in the program.
So, Dr. Francois, let's talk a little bit about support systems. Because whenever you go through any change in life, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, you need support. So what suggestions would you give to our audience about as they begin to make lifestyle changes? What type of support system should they seek out?
Yes, because sometimes talk to your family, like who lives in your household. That's always the best because they're responsible for what's in the refrigerator. And when you have like your spouse is on board or whoever's in your household is on board with you, it makes it a lot easier. It makes it so much easier when you have the person closest to you on board with you. And if you can't find it sometimes in your own house, sometimes you do have to go out and join different groups. At where I currently work, we have a support group where patients can come even like after their surgery, and they meet every month, and they're able to talk amongst themselves because it's a journey. So it's not a race, it's a journey. And it can be a little rough at times. So you really need someone to talk to. And of course, our biggest support is Jesus. And then sometimes we have to talk to him, and I even myself, I'm like, all right, Lord, I don't need this piece of cake. So I need you to go ahead and just get it out of my brain, Jesus, to not eat this. And sometimes we have to talk to ourselves and talk to God, talk to Christ. But it's always a lot easier when you make it like maybe a family. Right now, it's in my own family. It's almost like a little friendly competition with weight loss, sometimes unfriendly, but for the most part, friendly competition. And it just makes it a lot easier when you go to different events. Everyone knows, no, we know we can't have this. We try not to have functions now that is circled around food. A lot of times, birthday, we want food. Any type of event, there's a graduation, let's go and eat. So now we're trying to have events. Is there someone's birthday? Okay, let's go play kickball. Let's go and do top golf. Let's do something else. That's not so food focused.
Absolutely. So we had a few questions from the internet.
Okay.
And there was a question regarding about the medication, how long to take it. We've answered that. I think we've answered that
Well,
pretty
what did they ask? How long did it?
How long do you take the medication?
Oh, yes. So it's approved for long-term use. Mm-hmm.
And then there was another question about black seed oil good for health issues. So I'm not that familiar with black seed
I am not either. Some of the those that I might have to get like our herbalist that are custom. I'm not sure about the black seed oil.
So we've talked about from the beginning about how obesity comes about.
Yes.
And then we've also talked about how to correct it, how to start the journey to lose weight.
Yes.
And we've talked about the importance, and I think what we want to keep it in the context, like you said, Jesus is the only one that can help us. Mm-hmm. I love the verse in John 10:10. It says, I've come, well, let's back it up. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy our health, but Jesus says, I've come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. So we have another question over here, and we'd like to take that question as we wrap up.
I just want us to focus a little bit more on menopause, because menopause has a way of actually stifling our metabolism, and we gain weight, we have cravings, and I'd like for us to kind of address that, because I've tried a lot of different diets. Once upon a time, I could have just think I want to lose weight and lost the weight, and now it's a big task. And I'd like to see how we focus on that, because I also listened to different types of diets out there, and they talked about the mitochondria and how the cells becomes dead as you age, and those cells need to be rejuvenated. Can we kind of focus or talk about that as well, please?
So it's for with menopause. So the more birthdays we have, the more our metabolism kind of just slows down a little bit more and more and more. And with menopause, sometimes we know that there are like different, like she mentioned, the cravings, but we know what brings about these cravings, what brings about the hot flashes, and sometimes we don't avoid them. Things such as chocolate, caffeine, and the things that we should stay away from. And as far as trying to, the main thing is trying to rev up that metabolism again. And the only way that we could really scientifically proven to rev up the metabolism consistently is through exercise. Will we get a spike in our metabolism if we drink a little bit of caffeine? Yes, but to consistently keep that metabolism going and really pushing is through exercise. And the more, and I know it's, it gets a little bit harder with, everyday life and everything, but you must exercise as our metabolism goes down. And this happens even with weight loss. So you will see some patients that have had weight regain. They'll, after weight loss, they did a study on, I think it was The Biggest Loser, competitors, what happened after, they left The Biggest Loser house and they gained this weight back again. Well, when you lose weight, and when you have like the bariatric surgeries and stuff, our metabolism goes down. And because the body no longer requires like, oh, wait, I don't need so much energy anymore because they don't have as much body mass anymore. So the metabolism goes down. If you don't consistently exercise, it will continue to just kind of dwindle on down. So exercise to keep our metabolism revved up. And as we're exercising, of course, keeping up with what we are intaking as well. But it's with menopause, yes, you will have like the hormonal imbalances that take place. And it's a rough period at times, but there are things that we can do and things that we can avoid to help us during that time. And it's just going to be a little bit, weight won't come off as easy as it did when we were 20 or 16, 18. When we get older, we just have to really kick it into gear, our exercise, and be very cognizant of what we're putting into our bodies, like going all the way back to the tracker, tracking really what you eat. Because you'll say, oh, I don't really eat that much, but you're not tracking those 3 and 4 M&Ms that you put in your mouth, while you were, on the computer or something. And that, like, unconsciously, we're doing this and don't even realize it. So very important to do. Just try to track your food as much as possible and get that exercise in.
Wow. So Dr. Francois, we're out of time. We'll take your last question.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to respond to what was asked about flaxseed oil right quickly.
She said it was black seed oil.
Black seed oil, okay. Black seed oil, it's flack or black? Okay, black seed oil. Okay, it should figure very highly into the diet because it's one of the omega-3 fatty acids along with flaxseed. But I thought you said flaxseed.
Right, flaxseed, that is an omega-3. That's very helpful with decreasing our cholesterol levels and help keeping our intestines regular. Very, very good. Flax seeds are very, very good nutritious for us.
So we're out of time, but I want to say thank you, Dr. Francois.
Oh, you're welcome.
For this information. So constituents, the conversation doesn't stop here about weight management. We're going to ask that you take it back to your churches and begin to have this same conversation because we want to live healthy, happy, and holy. And the way we do that is we take care of our body as God's temple of whatever we eat, whatever we drink, whatever we do, that we do all to the glory of God. Thank you for joining us for this segment. We are actually going to transition, and we have Dr. Brenda Owusu, who's going to talk about empowering as we become older. So you don't want to move, stay in your seats, and we will be right back. Thank you again, Dr. Francois.
You're most welcome.
I do have some of her cards that are listed, that are on the health table, so I would encourage you to go by, pick up some cards if you need them as a reference, or would like to reach out and contact her. Till next time.
to hold the mics not working.
We're back. More about health. So this segment is about empowering adults, aging adults. So all of us are aging, right? So what happens from when you turn 20, 40, and then 60 and on up? Dr. Brenda Owusu is going to share with us how you and me, how we can be empowered to take charge of our health. So Dr. Brenda Owusu, please come join me. Thank you all for staying by. I'm going to ask at the end, when we ask for questions, we're going to ask that you come up to the side of the stage so that we can have you come on the platform so that we can hear it and also we can videotape that. So welcome, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
I am so glad that you're here. Look at the audience, they're here. We're waiting to hear more about how we can be better empowered as we age.
As we age,
So,
yes.
so tell me a little bit, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
I'm Brenda Owusu. I worked as a nurse most of my life, and now at the end of part of my career, I'm working as a professor, and also I practice by seeing patients in a nursing home 1 day a week, because it's a requirement in order for us to keep up to date with the evidence. We have to see patients, so as we educate the students who are future nurse practitioners, they are educated with the most updated evidence.
So you are the best qualified person to talk about this topic.
Well, I would like to think so. In my sphere, I'm the director for the Adult Gerontology Primary Care Nurse Practitioner Program, and I know a little about geriatrics.
Great. So
Okay.
I'm going to turn it over to you. We look forward to hearing what you have to talk about.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I'm not used to walking around with a mic. I have a loud voice, I think. Being a Bahamian, we speak loud. Up here, I have my glasses in case I need it, since I turned 25 2 times, and I have a fan in case I need it. So if you see me fanning up here, getting sweat, please don't think I'm passing out. It's just that part of aging that occurs. So today, we're going to talk about empowering aging adults. And why do we need to empower aging adults? Knowledge, we say, is power, right? And so if knowledge is power, I believe the more that you know as an older adult, this will enable you to be able to navigate the healthcare system. There's a lot of things that occur in the healthcare system that sometimes we are at loss. And there are times we just go search the internet and the information out there may not be as accurate. So hopefully this information that I will share with you would help you to be able to understand medical terminologies, understand different processes, and help you to ask the right questions to your primary care provider. All the data that I will be using today, they are based on studies that I get from the U.S. Census Bureau, the Pew Research, and I use demographers. The two demographers that you will see I mentioned today is Neil Howe, H-O-W-E, Neil Howe. I'm not on that slide yet. And the next one is William Strauss. That is the two demographers. And I'm going to tell you a little about who are demographers and what they do. These are specialists when it comes to statistician. They look at the trends that is happening within the world, and they will look at populations, how populations are growing, whether it is childbirth, death rate, mortality rate, older adults, and they make projections like demographic trends of aging. They look and make projections. What are we going to need to meet the needs of all of this population that is growing? And I'll attempt to answer some of those. Next slide. So what is aging? And everyone here is not old. Most of you look young to me. But what is aging? Aging refers to the natural process of growing, either with chronological age, where that number keeps going up, but you feel the same. Some of us feel younger than our numbers, right? And also not only chronological age, but physiological age. As that number arise or move up, there are changes that are occurring within your body that are happening. But it is so gradual. Some of the changes, we don't even see them. We feel them. After a while, we feel them, right? We don't move as fast as we used to. We don't get up as quick as we did. There are things we miss. And sometimes our health also helps to make it more complex. So you will agree with me that aging is multi-dimensional process. It includes physical changes, social changes, even psychological changes, emotional aspects, and it can bring both positive and negative experiences. Isn't that so? Some we like and some we don't. So it is important to note that aging is a normal process. Give it time and you will get there too. Right? Give it time and you will get there. So it is a normal process. There are certain things that occur in our health. My background is moving ahead of me. There are certain things that occur in our health that sometimes we feel like, hey, we just say that it's the aging process that is happening. Not so. Yesterday we talked about self-care. Be in tune with your body and don't just say, I think it's aging and let it go. A lot of us go to primary care physicians and most of them are just internal medicine and they do general practitioner work. But we have geriatrician, older nurse practitioner who are gerontology specialists and they study older adults. They know the medications for older adults. Not every medication, even though the general population takes it, older adults may not be good for you because of changes that occurs in your body. Next slide, and we're gonna move and look at what is the definition of elderly. According to the World Health Organization, they look at most developed countries like the United States, countries in North America, and they accept the chronological age, the number 65, as the definition of elderly. We don't call people elderly anymore in the healthcare arena. We call them older adult. It's a better connotation. It's no longer elderly. And they fall into 3 categories. We have the young old, and those are those who are between the age of 65 and up to 74. They're considered to be the young old. Those are middle old are 75 to 84. Old are 85 and older. Those who were with me yesterday, who did I say was the fastest growing population today? The old. Did you know that? 85 and older are the fastest growing population today. And I'm going to give you the facts, and you will see the reason why they are. So they talk about the term of America saying we have a graying of America. What does that refers to? It refers that American population is steadily, becoming more dominated by older adults. There is a dramatic trend that is occurring among the old. And before I talk about that trend, and I will get to the nursing home aspect, I wanted you to look at a couple of quotes I found. Here is one. The next slide. It says, "A village without the elderly is like a well without water." Isn't that so? We need the elderly, right? They have wisdom. They've had experience. And they're the ones that leaders for the next day. A next quote. Next slide. The old woman looks after the child to grow its teeth. And the young one, in turn, looks after the old woman when she loses her teeth. That's an old African proverb. We take care of them until they lose their teeth. They took care of us until we grew teeth. Very powerful. So the aging population. I talked about demographers. I told you who demographers are, so everybody should understand that they look at population growth. They make prediction based on the population growth. In 2010, which was how long ago? 13 years ago, right? In 2010, we had 40.3 million Americans older than age 65 years in 2010. And that constituted of only 13% of the population. This group is expected to grow more than 71 million by 2050, which will add about another 7%, will cause it to be 20% of the population. Those greater than 85 years old were 5.3 million then, and it will jump to 21 million by 2050. So the likelihood of having enough hospitals to house all of these people, we don't have it, right? It's a good news for us in the healthcare world. We have more people to take care of. They're living longer. Why are they living longer? Where is this population coming from? Don't you want to know that? Where do you think it's coming from? Anybody, give me some answers. Lifestyle changes. I talked about that yesterday. Where is this population coming from? Sister B? Medical care? Anybody else? From where? Eating mangoes? Where are we getting this old 85 years and older? Because as you age, there's a lot of issues that takes place. We have mobility issues. We have more chronic conditions that occur. We need improvement for housing. We have older adults with social isolation. Lots of problems. But where is this older age coming from? Anybody? From the medical field, you think so? How many people you think are in a nursing home? What percentage you think of older adults are in the nursing home? 25%. Anybody else? Higher or lower? Higher? You believe that, right? You work in a nursing home? You used to? And it seems like all the old people there. The evidence is there's only 4.2% in the nursing home. Most older adults are community dwellers. If you go to the CDC website, less than 5% are in congregate homes, assisted living, nursing home, and so forth. Most older adults age in place at home. And so we have to make the atmosphere conducive for them to be able to age at home. There are significant shift with this older adult, and I'm going to talk to you about some cohorts. And the cohorts, you will look in the 20th century, we used to have the GI generation. Everybody remember them? They were the ones from the Great Depression all the way to World War II. After GI generation, we have the silent years. Then we come to the baby boomers. Anybody know about the baby boomers? Well, the baby boomers, after World War II, after everybody came back home, 72 million, I have a slide that says 78 million babies were born from 1941 all the way to 1964. If you look at certain other data, those numbers change. They may tell you from 1940, some may say from 1943, but within those years, all the way up to 1964, when the last baby boomer was born. Did you know that from 2011, every 8 seconds, one baby boomer turns 65? Every 8 seconds, and that does not stop. It goes on for the next 18 years since 2011 up until 2030. So we have 9 more years of baby boomers turning 65 years of age. And because of medical advances and technology, that is pushing the older age of 85 and older, and that's where the older adults are coming from. The baby boomers. So there's a boom going on, right? We're getting people getting older. But guess what? They don't act it. They say 70 is the new 40. You may not feel it, but 70 is the new 40. There are a lot of 70-year-olds who are doing things that are unbelievable. They are skiing, bungee jumping. They're taking trips around the world. Don't think they're in a nursing home. A lot of them are not. A lot of them are out in the community. So societies in the world age at different times. This leads to questions about the future aging population. How are we going to care for them when it comes to health care? With an aging population this big, that means we're going to have a lot more chronic illnesses to deal with, because it comes with aging, doesn't it? It comes with aging. The next thing we're going to look at is a lot of myth. A lot of people, like most of you thought half of the population live in a nursing home. Here are some myths. Myth 1, older adults are either very rich or very poor. That's a myth. Older adults are senile. Not always. There's a lot of you here, you're not senile, right? Okay. Older adults are neither interested nor have the capacity for sexual relations. Not true. Older adults are miserable and unhappy with the state of their lives. Older adults are very religious. There's a lot of agnostic older adults. Next slide. We have a lot of agnostic older adults who have no beliefs, and they will tell you that. Older adults are unable to adapt to change. Nope. Older adults are unable to learn new things. Who are older adults? It is young people aging, becoming older adults. So if they could do all of these things, can older adults do some things? Of course. Older adults urinate on their clothing. And some women believe that as you age, it's okay if you're wetting yourself. No, it's a medical condition, and it can be treated. I just put that out. That was not part of my projection. I just want women to know. Because when you go in Walmart and you see a whole section of the pens, they are being used. By some people, they are. But you don't have to. There are certain exercises that you can be educated to doing that will prevent you from leaking and wetting yourselves. Okay? You can talk to me after. And I know everybody's going to say, that don't happen to me. Are we prepared? Next slide. Are we prepared for this aging population? If you look at the slide that I have on to the right, it says minorities are the fastest growing segment of the older adult population, 65 and older. And this slide is looking from 1990s to 2030 population. That includes the baby boomers. And if you look at one of the slides, it says white, Caucasian, 93% growth. Non-whites, that's us. No, non-whites, those who are not white, are 328. But Hispanics, 555% growth between 1990 to 2030. 2030 is just 7 years away, you know. 2030 is just 7 years. African American who are non-Hispanic, 160%. Asian and Pacific Islanders, 300%. So minorities are the fastest growing population nationwide and also especially here in America. According to the National Institute of Health, the United States population age 65 and older is expected to double in size within the next 25 years. And so by 2030, almost, I mentioned, 1 out of every 5 Americans will be 65 years of age by 2030. 1 in every 5. And if we look right here in amongst us, you count the numbers. At least 1 in every 3 or 1 in every 4 will be 65. So these demographers' trend propose a lot of challenges for us. What are we going to do? Here is the trend of the growth for the baby boomers. It says, next slide, 42% of the adult population in the United States are baby boomers. That's almost half of the population, 42%. Then 78 million, which I mentioned to you, but you see the dates are different. They have 1946 to 1964. And it depends on which data you are using, because some say from 1941, some say from 1942. But 46 sound more correct because that was after World War II. And that's when this occurred. So the health of the boomer generation is what is causing all of this great explosion, I would call it that, this explosion in older adults living longer. So where are these people going to live? What are we doing for them to live? Where are they going to live? With families? Show me the hands of those who are old and like to live with their children. Who want to live with their children? Who want to live alone? The majority. The majority want to have their own living space, make their own decisions, have autonomy, and that's where we're moving to. There's a program called Capable, and I just published an article in one of the nursing journals addressing older adults being able to live alone. What Capable does, it have a nurse, occupational therapist, and a handy person. They come to the home, they assess the patient, look at what's going on with them medical-wise, and they make modifications to the home to assist older adults to live comfortably in their home. Like anything for safety, they will remove things that will cause that will be a hazard for them to fall, and they will also make modifications like to the bathroom so that you can go into your bathroom with ease, and that is happening in about 38 counties. And why I wrote that article is because we've been trying to get grants to bring Capable here in Florida, because Florida is one of the states with the highest aging population, but it's not the highest. Which state is the highest? Not California. Texas, not Texas. New York, not New York. Anybody? No, it starts with M. Missouri, no. Maine. Maine has the highest population of older adults. They have 21.3%. That's the last statistics that I saw towards the ending of this year, last year for the census. And Florida is second with 20.3%. Florida is second. So we need a program like Capable where we can go into homes and show people how they can age in home, whatever disability that they have, they can live comfortably since we can make the home conducive to their disability and they can live there instead of in the nursing home. You put these older adults in hospital or in a nursing home, makes it worse. They pick up all kinds of infections and so forth in the nursing home. Next slide. So the next thing we're going to look at, long-term care. Who is requiring long-term care? Most older adults will go in a long-term care if they don't have that social support where family members can take care of them, where they become senile in terms of Alzheimer's or dementia, and it's overburdened to the family members. And most family members in minority settings will keep the older ones at home, but the minute they become incontinent and they have other things going on, it becomes more difficult. And that's when, in my practice, I see that they would bring these patients and ask for them to go in nursing home, because I'm mostly in the nursing home. I see patients in the nursing home. But financing of long-term care, most is with Medicare or Medicaid and private insurance. We do have some older adults who pay privately out of pocket, and those are within the 1%. Very few. But the majority of us, it's either Medicaid or Medicare or our insurance that we have. So aging population is one of the primary drivers of the growing demand for home health. And home health is a big thing, because if they want to stay home, they need somebody to come in the home every once in a while and check on them, see how they're doing. And if family members are taking care of them, they would have home health come in, not every day, because most of us can't afford that, but at least once or twice a day to assist with activities of daily living, and also to assist with things that are pertinent to the older adult. But the trend in home health care is growing. We have technology in terms of that we, as healthcare providers, we can see our patients at home through technological devices. We can monitor them, we can manage them, look at their medications, see how they're doing without them leaving the home. And that's where healthcare is going. The next thing some questions that I will ask when we look at health and wellness and healthcare, older adults are living longer. Women live approximately 6 years longer than men. Did you know that? Yeah. But since COVID, our longevity rate had reduced. Remember, COVID caused a lot, and so that had reduced. But women used to live at least 78 years of age, and men were less by 74, 72%, 72 age. But women always were 6 to 7 years older than men in longevity. That is the evidence. Older adults tend to learn more effectively in small groups. There are older adults who continue to practice, who continue to work, even though they are older. And there are a lot of support groups that are available for those who were professionals when they were younger. And if they want to continue the professionalism, they can go ahead and contact like the AAA. We have advocacy groups. We have the Grey Panthers, many different groups that has scholarships for older adults if you want to work on a project. And if you're coming to the Southern Union Women's Ministry retreat that's being held here in Orlando, I will be talking about retirement. Okay? It's a great thing. You don't retire to nothing. You don't stop working and go do nothing. You're not going to sleep 8 hours a day and then another 12 hours a day. You retire to something. You plan to retire to something. It may be a project, it may be something you wanted to work on all your life, but you learn new things. You plan for retirement, and you retire to something, okay? But that's for another topic. So older adults can create social and physical environments that promote good health for all. They promote quality of life, healthy development, and healthy behaviors across all ages. We have the Healthy People 2010, the 2030, they focus on preventable health threats that affects affects all citizens of all age. They attain high quality of life and longevity. That is the aim of the Healthy People 2020. Next slide, we're going to look at areas to focus on for older adults as they look on moving on in the next phase of their life. There are common complaints that older adults have, and most of them are musculoskeletal. Did you know that? Joint stiffness, right? Weight gain. I heard people talking about weight gain, and women, especially around the girth. As we age, it's harder to lose that stomach. And menopause make it even more difficult. Loss of bone mass. Loneliness. What can we do? Even as you are younger, start walking, build that muscle, stretch those ligaments. And because they are not used enough, they are underused, that's why we have most of those musculoskeletal problems. Did you know that? So start walking. Even if you're older age, start walking every day. Do a digestive walk after you finish eating. I know Dr. Francois talked about diet, but do a digestive walk. It's good for you. Stress management. Yesterday I told you to relax. Let it go. Don't take on everything. The pain, deal with it, but don't stress over it. Nutrition. 25% of our older adults are malnourished. Substance abuse control. How do they get substance abuse control? What's going on with the substance abuse? Polypharmacy. I have a cardiac doctor. I have my rheumatoid doctor. I have my kidney doctor. What else? Neurologists. And every one of them are prescribing medications, right? And some of them are communicating to each other, and some are not even talking to one another. And so you're the one who end up with all of this medication, and they tell you, take this 4 times a day, take this 3 times a day, take this once a day, and you're like, and you have no idea what interacts with what. But that's another topic. But polypharmacy is a big one. And why I say it's a big one, because our biggest consumer of medications are older adults. Did you know that? At least 20%, 42% takes more than 5 medications. Another 20% takes at least 10 medications. Yeah. And if you're not on any, thank God. Thank God. But we have older adults who are the greatest consumer of medication. And then, so they are at risk for adverse reactions. So what are adverse reactions? Any unexpected reaction that you get from a medication that you're taking that you were not expecting. Adverse reactions were number 5 for older adults dying in a hospital or something from their medication. There are a lot of medications that interact with each other. The onset of adverse reaction may be sudden or it may develop over a time. But Dr. Sankey, I would love to do something on polypharmacy one day, okay? So aging in place. How are they aging in place? How do we determine whether an older adult is okay to age in place at their home or if they require a caregiver? As long as an older adult is cognitively intact, and I mean that their mind is intact, they have the autonomy to make decisions on their own, then we can communicate with them and include them in that communication. As children or as support givers or as church members, because there are some older adults who have no family, we don't make decisions for them. They are part of the decision-making process. We take into consideration their physical health, their mobility. Can they move on their own? Can they do things on their own? Would they need assistance in doing anything? Can they perform their activities of daily living? Can they perform executive decisions? And executive decisions has to do with things like signing a check, paying somebody who's cutting the grass, doing things like going out and buying stuff for yourself. Are they able to do that on their own? So all of these must be taken into consideration. Their cognitive function, what social support? Do they have children? Do they have grandchildren? Who's going to help them? And we also have something we call the sandwich generation. And that is like you, a younger adult, who's taking care of your parents and raising your own family. You're in the middle. You're a sandwich generation. That's what we call that. Then we have caregiver availability. Who's available? Yes, they may have children, but some children may be working, cannot get time from work to assist the older adult with their medications or to assist them with any activities that is needed. Or some older adults have kids who are in prison, kids who are not home, and all of this take a toll on their activities, on their mindsets, and the ability for them to age in place. How safe is the home that they're trying to age in place? How is the lighting? How is the floor? Is it a one-story? Does it have stairs? Do they have to climb? Do they suffer from congestive heart failure? Can they climb the stairs? Do they have shortness of breath? It's a multiplicity of things that need to be taken into consideration in order for an older adult to age in place. Do they have the financial considerations? Are they able to stay by themselves? Next question I will address is communication and change of environment. So you come to the decision that the older adult cannot live by themselves. How do we communicate this to them that, hey, you are no longer able to live alone, but may have to have assisted in an assisted living? And assisted living, they are living within a community in their own apartment, but at the same time, they make their own decisions, but there's someone who's over the facility and will come and check on them daily to see how is everything going. There are some situations where we have to put older adults, a mom or dad, in a situation like that. But when is the right time? When is the right place? When they are no longer safe enough to be alone is when we do that. We have older adults in the home and they're cooking and they forgot the stove on, or they fall, or something happened that put their health at risk. Then those decisions and those discussions need to take place. You find the right time to communicate this to them. You respectfully and empathetically communicate that there needs to be a change in environment. Be very clear and specific. You're not going away. We're putting you in a home where you can live and have a better quality of life. That's the aim. We're not putting you away because you can't take care of yourself anymore. You're going to burn down the house. That's not the communication we're going to have. And we do active listening because they have something to say. They have something to say also. And so we will communicate with them. Reassure or support. I'm here for you. I will come and visit you. I will see you and you will see me. If there's any problem, I will be the one who will advocate on your behalf. 2 more slides. They are actively engaged in the decision of the process to be moved into an assisted living or a nursing home. We respect their autonomy and we have regular communications with them. We choose the right time, the right place, and we offer choices. They make the decision. I want to close with the last slide. It says, a gray head is a crown of glory. It is found in the way of righteousness. It's not a curse to grow old. It's a normal process. And God has created a way for us to do so safely. I want to read one last poem before I go. And I know some of you may ask, because when I teach this class, I always share a poem. And the poem are for those who live in congregates of nursing homes or assisted living. It's called See Me. What do you see, nurses? What do you see as you look at me? Are you thinking that this old crabby woman is not very wise, uncertain of habit, with far away eyes, who dribbles her food and makes no reply when you say in a loud voice, I do wish you would try? Who seems not to notice the things that you do and forever is losing a stocking or a shoe? Who, unresisting or not, lets you do as you please with bathing and feeding the long way to fill? Is that what you're thinking? Is that what you see? Then open your eyes and look at me. I'll tell you who I am as I sit here so still, as I rise at your bidding, as I eat at your will. I'm a small child at 10, with father and mother, brothers and sisters who love one another. A young girl of 16 with wings in her feet, dreaming that soon now her lover she will meet. A bride soon to be at 20. My heart gives a leap, remembering the vows that I promised to keep. At 25, now I have my own. I have young of my own who need me to build a secure and happy home. Sorry. My computer's not cooperating. Okay, at 25, who needs you to build a secure and happy home. A woman of 30, my young now has grown fast. Bound to each other with ties that could last. But my man's beside me to see that I don't mourn as my children move on. At 50, once more, babies are around our feet. Dark days are upon me. My husband is dead. I look at the future. I shudder with dread. For my young are all rearing young of their own. And I think of the years and the love that is known. I'm an old woman now, and nature is cruel. The body is crumbled, grace and vigor depart. There's now a stone where once there was a heart. But inside this old carcass, a young girl still dwells. And now and again, my battered heart swells. I remember the joys, and I remember the pain. And I'm loving and living life over again. I think of the years, all too few, gone too fast, and I accept the stark fact that nothing can last. So I open your eyes, nurses. So I say, nurses, open your eyes, open and see. Not a crabby old woman. Look closer, nurses, see me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Owusu, for that presentation. Wasn't this helpful? Yes, absolutely. We've learned that we're growing older. There's more older, old.
Fastest growing
The
population.
more old, we've learned that. We've learned also the importance of knowing your own body, going to the doctor, knowing about your medications. We've learned about as you're aging, how do we involve or engage our families? And how can we be part of that decision making? So thank you so very much. And honestly, I will put you down for polypharmacy in the future. We are out of time, so we don't have time for questions, unfortunately. But what I would like to say is I know that within our congregation, we have some people who are over 80. If you're over 80, please stand to your feet. Anyone that's over 80 years old in this congregation, let's give them a hand. That last slide about the crown of glory, old age is a crown of glory. Look at our crowns of glory.
Amen.
Is there anyone that's over 90 years old? Sister Julia Howard, how old are you? She's 91. Look how beautiful she is. So Sister Howard is actually a friend of my mother's, and I'm so glad that she's made it to 91 years old. Thank you, Sister Howard, and thank you all for being here. My mother lived to be 92 years old, and she said, I'm not old, I just lived a long time. So she never would claim that she was old. Thank you again, Dr. Owusu.
You're very welcome.
Greatly appreciated. We're going to be transitioning to our next segment of the program, so just sit tight, and then we'll be back at 12 for our 12 noon program. Thank you again for coming to learn how to live healthy, happy, and holy. Be blessed.